So one of the key understandings that we have to realize is that the social science is the deen of the West. It is what the West uses to organize lives. And this deen is very different from the deen of Islam, the way of life of Islam. And they are in dramatic contradiction. And so basically all of modern social science is built on the framework of scientific theory, which is evolution. And it says that basically human life is about competition for survival of the fittest, and there are no rules which need to follow. Anybody can do anything as long as it helps his survival. So this is the damaging and toxic and poisonous foundation upon which all of Western social science is built. But one very important thing to understand is that criticism does not lead to change. We need to develop an alternative to social science. And this is currently in process. And Rajab Shanturk has provided a lot of lectures on how to decolonize social science. Today we are following the social science, which is the product of our colonization of minds. And we have to get rid of this and build a new way of life for ourselves. And this can only be done step by step in small steps. So one small step in this process is to show that the entire discipline of statistics built over the past 100 years is completely defective and faulty, and we need to just throw this out and rebuild the entire discipline on Islamic epistemological foundations. That is based on a new theory of knowledge. And when we do this, we come up with an entirely new way of thinking about statistics and doing statistics. So before we start on statistics, all serious Muslim thinkers are agreed that today the Muslim Ummah is in difficulty. We are falling behind in many fronts, on not just on the wealth front, but also on the conduct, the morality, everything. So why are we behind? For this, there are many people have many ideas and they are working on solutions. But my diagnosis is that the central problem is the shock and awe of Western knowledge. Because the Western knowledge is in conflict with our deen, and it is being taught all over the Islamic world in Western universities. So we are all conflicted. On the other hand, our Western education teaches us that West is superior and Western knowledge is the most important kind. And the Quran teaches us that the Quran is the most important. And these two messages are in conflict. And we cannot understand the Quran using Western theories and Western knowledge. So that's why we need to counter Western knowledge by showing that it is wrong. So coming back to my personal journey, when I did my bachelor's in math at MIT, I learned a lot of respect for mathematical proof and rigorous proofs. And I thought that, intuition is useless. If you have intuition about something, but you cannot prove it, that's very bad. It's just like a form of ignorance. But later I understood that intuition is more important and learning how to prove things is not important. I specialized in my PhD in econometric theory. And for this, I did a PhD training in I took graduate courses in mathematics and in statistics and in economics, because econometric theory requires all three. And I went to my graduate advisor to ask about how to do about my specialization. So he said, you see, there are two types of econometricians. And one are the theoretical type, they never touch data and they just do theory. And then there are applied people who get their hands dirty with data. And the prestige lies with the theoreticians. Because of this, I specialized in theoretical econometrics. And the simple fact is that I did not actually run a regression on real data until 10 years after graduate school, because I was a theoretician. I didn't actually do any real data analysis. I wrote a textbook which was full of very advanced mathematics called Statistical Foundations for Econometrics Techniques. It did not have any real world applications at all. But while the book was already in draft, one of the reviewers said that this book is wonderful for theory, but useless for practice. I was stung by this remark and I said, okay, what is this nonsense? I will just add some practical examples. So I decided that in each chapter, I will put in one example of real data analysis that comes from this chapter. I was totally surprised to find that I could not find even one realistic example. When I tried to find real world examples, I found that all of the assumptions that we make in theory are not satisfied by any real data set. So it took me about 5 years to find some real world examples which I could fit into my text. But I realized that the real world application of statistics is very different from the theory. And the theory of statistics we learned is not relevant to the solution of real world problems.